Good morning, everyone. It's Brenda Quintana here, and it's Tuesday morning, so that means it is Casing Tuesday time, and I'm just going to wait for a few of you to join me before I get into everything. So if you're watching this as a recording, you want to skip ahead to the actual card making, please do so. And so today, it's another kind of gloomy day. There must be some people somewhere that are having sunshine, but we have clouds, and we've had quite a bit of rain, and we had some water in our basement on Friday, and so that kind of impacted what I was going to do this week. I was going to start my BOGO sale on Monday, and now I'm not exactly sure when it's going to start, but I'm working on getting everything ready. I got everything sorted yesterday, and so I still have to put everything up on a website. So once I know, I'll send out like a little ad for that. So anyone on my email list will be able to participate in that. So that is coming up, and so let me begin with today's card. So we are doing Casing Tuesday. So today's card looks like this, and this is not the card I'm going to make today. This was our start off point. Card is on page 80 of the annual catalog, and we are using this as a blueprint to create other cards based on this card. So I tend not to want to use the same stamp set because I want to try and expand my mind in stamping so that I can show other stamp sets with it. So I'll show you what I used in just a second. But that is the blueprint for the card. And then if you want a sketch that helps you kind of figure out all the measurements, you can use this little sketch right here. What I did is I just kind of approximated the strips, and I'll show you how I did that in my video. I didn't follow these measurements exactly. It's pretty, my method is pretty easy. So if you have strips that you want to use in those measurements, go for it. But if you want kind of like a simpler method, I'll just show you how I did it. So that is our sketch, kind of to give you a base idea of all the different measurements. All right. Okay. So my card today, I grew up in British Columbia, and we used to have these beautiful yellow flowers that grew on the sides of the valley in spring. And I remember them being all over the place, and they were kind of, the colors were sage green, and just really beautiful. I think, let me see if I can pull up I put a photo on my blog today, but I'll see if I can pull it up here in the video too. Let's see if I can open this. So here's me. This was taken about just over 2 years ago. I was there in, well, I guess it was April, I think. It was sometime in spring, and I went to visit my parents because my mom had broken her hip. So I went on this little hike, and there were the flowers, and I just was so happy to be there because usually I'm not there in spring. Usually we go out for Christmas, and it just, the flowers just like, it just brought it all back for me, you know. And so that was kind of a fun little hike that I did. The trip itself, it was great to see my parents, but of course my mom was recovering from a broken hip, so that part wasn't so much fun. But that was the last time I saw my parents, and you know, since then my dad has passed away, and I haven't seen my mom in over 2 years. So finally I've booked a trip to see her in September, so I'm very happy about that. I can't wait to see her and give her a hug, and I'll also get to see my sister, who also lives in British Columbia, and so I'll get to see her and my nephews, and so that will be it will be a really nice trip. So I'm really looking forward to that. So my card today is actually kind of based on that. Let me switch cameras for you. So here is my card, and the flowers just kind of inspired me. And this card's kind of a compilation. I use the stem right here out of the Enjoy the Moment stamp set. And then I use the medium daisy punch to kind of create these flower heads. I'm going to show you how I did that. And then the background strips, like they're fairly neutral, and these are super easy to create. So I'm going to show you how I put all that card together. So this is the Enjoy the Moment stamp sets in the annual catalog. Oop. Let me mute my little thing right here. And then I use the Bark 3D embossing folder for these little background strips. So let's delve in and I'll show you how I made it. Let me think. First of all, let's create this background strip area here, and I'll show you how I did that. So I took a piece of cardstock, crumb cake, and this one measures 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches. And I'm just gonna grab my stamp and cut and emboss machine real quick and show you how I did that. So you want to get down to your base platform, number 1. You want to grab your embossing folder, the Bark 3D, slip this piece inside that I just cut and pop it down here. And then we're going to use this gray mat. It's number 4. And this is the one that we use with our thicker or our 3D embossing folders. And then I'll just run this through the machine. I'm cranking it over on the side. You can't see me cranking it, but it's fairly easy. And then once you crank it through, you get a piece like this. So let me set this back aside so it's out of the way. That's actually the only die cutting we're doing in here. So, you know, your background strips, they can be designer series paper, they can just be plain cardstock, you know, whatever you want it to be. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to line this up with a 1-inch mark. So I'm going to cut this into strips with my paper trimmer. So here's a 1-inch strip. Then I'm going to do a 3/4 inch strip. And then I'm going to do a 1/2 inch strip. And the pattern I chose, if these get out of order, it really won't matter. And then I'll go back to doing another inch strip. Because this is kind of an overall pattern, you can't really see the seam of it. And then I'll do another 1/2 inch strip and a 3 1/4 inch strip. All right, so I'm gonna be left over with a 1-inch strip. When you're placing these, if you need that extra little bit, you might need it just depending on how far apart you place them. This is usually left over for me, but I just wanted to give us enough room to play with. So I'll take my card base, and now I'm going to flip these over because I cut them in order. So I'm going to start up at the top. Let me show you my card base. It's 11 inches by 4 1/4 and scored in half at the 5 1/2 inch mark. I'll take some Tombow, and we're just going to start gluing these strips down. This is my inch strip, and I'll just start, and I'm going to put it close to the top. So about maybe about 1/8 of an inch from the right and the top. Just going to glue that down. Then I'll take my next strip. This one is a 3/4 inch one. This time I'm going to put it over here on this side, closer to this side. And I'm using about the same width from this side, 1/8 of an inch. And then I'm going to take my next strip, which is a 1/2 inch strip. And I'm going back to the other side. I'm kind of staggering them down. So you see how that just made it a little easier rather than having variable lengths of strips, which you could do, but you know, to kind of keep this card easier, I didn't want to have to cut a bunch of strips of different lengths. So just to keep it really easy peasy to create the background, I'm just alternating, going from this side to this side. This one's an inch strip, and then I'm going to come in with a 1/2 inch strip. Try to keep the pattern so it wasn't too contrived. I have to organize myself so that my patterns are easy to do, but they don't look too like I thought about them too much. And then this is a 3/4 inch strip is the final one. Okay, so that is just like a little pattern, and it just adds a little interest to the card rather than just doing a big rectangle on the back. It's really quite easy to do. And yes, I did not use this inch strip, so this was left over. But if you had put these a little bit closer together, you might have needed the full inch on the bottom. So just depending on, so it's nice to have a little bit extra so you don't have to run back to your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine and do a little strip extra. All right, now we're going to create the flower from the front. I'm going to use the soft succulent ink pad, and I'm going to do soft succulent on soft succulent. So just ink this up, and then I'm just going to stamp this down. And yes, I am going to fussy cut this stem, but you know, this design is like fairly basic, right? It's not too much to it. There's not too many twists and turns, so I'm just going to kind of follow along here. I know this is boring watching me cut. So I am so excited that I'm going to be seeing my mom. We've been talking on the phone every day for quite a while now. And, you know, since I've been gone from home, it's been like many years. I left home when I was about, I would say, 19, and I went to university out in central Canada. And so, you know, of course we talk and we have a good relationship, but, you know, busy lives and stuff, and so we didn't talk quite as often, and my mom was really busy with my dad in the past years, and now we're just like having such a good time talking every day, and I'm learning all sorts of things about our family, and it's kind of a gift to be able to have that time with my mom. And now to see her in person, it will be great. We're a lot alike, actually. Sometimes we butt heads a little bit, but I think it's because we're so much alike. But right now, it's kind of weird because we've been talking for so long. I feel like we haven't really butt heads at all through all of our talking. So it's kind of interesting, but it's good. I can't wait to see her. Yes. Okay, so there's my fussy cutting. I'm just going to cut this off kind of straight at the bottom. So that is the first part. And what I wanted to do is, I was going to add some little flower centers over top, and then I thought, why not just use these? And I know it's not exact or perfect, but I'm going to use my cinnamon cider Stampin' Blends, and I'm going to just kind of create some little, darken up those little tops to kind of make them more look like flower centers. So I'll start with the light cinnamon cider, and instead of just coloring the whole area, I'm just kind of doing little strokes with my marker, just kind of brushing them rather than, because I don't want it to look like a big colored area. I just kind of want to, and then I'm just using my dark and just adding a little color. And you could use whatever brown color you had, but I decided to use cinnamon cider this time. And that just kind of darkens the area a little bit. You can kind of see that. All right, on to the flower head. So I'm using Bumblebee cardstock and the medium daisy punch. We have two daisy punches, the regular one, and this is the smaller one, and it's called the medium daisy punch. And I will just punch. You'll need 3 of these flowers. And I already punched, I had an extra one from yesterday, so I'm just gonna pull that out. But you'll need 3 of these little guys. And the way I created them was I folded them in half. So that way I could get more bang for my buck. Because these are gonna be like half fold flowers. So I'm just, when I'm folding them, I want the leaves to overlap. Okay, so I'm not folding it perfect, so this one will overlap with this one. I'm just doing it kind of skewed a little bit. You have to kind of play with it a little bit so it just kind of, so you can kind of see how those leaves are kind of doubling over. And I'm going to do this one too. Okay. So you just kind of have to squish down that little center. This is going to be behind the flower anyway, so it doesn't matter if this part doesn't look pretty. So just open them up and then take a little dot of Tombow and put it right in the flower center. And then just press that down. That's just going to help it stay down so it doesn't pop up and open up. Okay, so there's number 1. Do the same for the other 2. Pop it up. It's a different way to use the daisy punch to kind of make it more look like a different sort of flower, right? Or a half flower. You could use this with the daisy punch too, do some full daisies and then do some half daisies, you know, like looking at them from the side. So it's kind of like a neat way to use it. All right, so there we've got our little flowers, and now we're just going to add them to the back. So I'll just put a little Tombow right on that little piece right there. And so the flower is going to kind of be hidden from behind. It's kind of tucked behind a little bit. Okay, so it's a different kind of looking flower. And the flowers that we had, they weren't like this. They had, each flower had its own little stalk. But, you know, I kind of, it just reminded me of the flowers that I had growing up. Even though it isn't exactly the same, it's kind of got, it's got kind of that memory making power. Gosh, and I know that when I lived in British Columbia, I certainly did not appreciate it as much as I do now, right? It takes going away from home to appreciate all of the things that you had there. Like, I wouldn't trade my life and all the experiences I've had. But when I go home, then I see things I haven't seen for a while. It just like really, really brings it home. All right, so there's my little flower stalk. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? And this would have been far easier to do with the flowers, like before I glued them down, but we're still gonna do this. Bumblebee ink pad. As you can see, let me just hold these up so you can see the difference. So you can see I sponged the edge of my flowers, and that just gives it a little bit more depth. So we're gonna do that. Even though they're already glued down. Let's just do that real quick. So I'm using my sponge dauber, and I've designated this one. I put a little label on here saying Bumblebee. And I'll just take my flowers and just kind of sponge on the edges. And if I'm careful, I can kind of bend these back and get these back ones too. And then just kind of just get them. See, it's fun to do sponging. I love sponging. And now I even have a yellow finger. But this ink comes off pretty easily. Okay. All right, so now my flower stalk is done. All right. Next up, we'll glue this on here in just a moment. We're building the card here. Next up, we're going to do the little greeting. And so to make it easier on myself and using this punch, it's easier if you have like a longer piece. So I cut this piece to 4 inches by 1 inch. And this is the Banner's Pick-a-Punch. And I typically don't use the pointy end very much, but the original card had a pointy end for the banner, so I'm going to use the pointy end this time. And it actually looks quite good. So I'm just going to put that in there all the way, give it a little punch. And then I'm going to take my trimmer and trim it down to 2 inches. It would be hard to take like a 2-inch piece and put it into here and punch it because it's just not quite long enough. So you can do this kind of in reverse. And actually, if you're really smart about it, you could probably punch both ends first, and then you can have 2 little pieces right away. I'd maybe make it 4 1/8, and then punch both ends, and then cut it at the 2-inch mark, and then they should be fairly close to the same size, and then you'll have 2 for the trouble of 1. All right, cinnamon cider ink, because I'm going back to the color that I used on here, and I'm going to use the Enjoy the Moment, and I think we have to remind ourselves to enjoy the moment. So, you know, I was looking back to the moment of time when I wasn't in my hometown, and how much I enjoyed that moment. But we have to remember that even the moments right now that maybe are not 100% perfect. I mean, we're still probably not traveling quite as much as we did, and but let's enjoy all these moments, and the moments where you can see your family again. Make sure you take lots of pictures. And I wish I had taken more pictures that trip, but honestly, it wasn't a joyous trip, and I don't like to take pictures of people when they're not at their best, and I know my mom wouldn't have enjoyed me taking pictures of her at that time when she was after her, when she got her broken hip, and so that's why I didn't take as many pictures, but you know, take pictures, because later on you're going to be, oh, I wish I had a picture of that time, right? Okay, so now we're going to put this card together. So let's start off with this flower stem. We'll use some Tombow. Tombow, my favorite adhesive, because it keeps things down. Keeps my fingers a little sticky sometimes, but I've kind of gotten used to how to like get it off. I kind of like roll my fingers like this over the garbage can. Oops, over the garbage can, and it takes some of the glue off. Probably exfoliates my skin too at the same time. All right, so I'm just gonna push this down, and you know what, you can like lift up the petals just a little bit if you want to, just like so they're not like stuck so far down. I know once you put them in an envelope they'll probably push down again, but you can kind of lift them up a little bit, and they have a little bit of texture, so that's kind of cool. And then I'm going to take this little guy right here, put Tombow on it, and you can decide if you want to line it up with the top or line it up with one of the layers. I'm going to line it up with one of the layers. You choose. I thought when I was playing around with it, it looked good both ways. And then we want to add a little bit of ribbon. So I tied this little double bow with some linen thread. And you can use Tombow for this because there's little fibers in the linen thread that will catch on to the Tombow. So just, if you're going to do that, just hold it down for a few seconds, just give it a little pressure, just so it gets a chance to, you know, really get into that glue and stick down there. And the linen thread is nice because it kind of comes back to the crumb cake cardstock in the background. And so it doesn't take away, the flowers are really the focal point because they're like beautiful and bright, and you know, the greeting, you know, is right there, kind of, you know, a little vanilla beacon, very vanilla. I used here instead of basic white. I used a lot of basic white, but this time I used very vanilla. And then I'm just going to take, I've got, this comes on a big sheet. it might be. Oh, here it is. It's right in front of me. These are the Elegant Faceted Gems, and I had some left over from another sheet, so I'm going to use those up because these are just floating around and it kind of annoying me. So I'm just going to add a few of these. They're just like very subtle little gems to just add a little bit of shine and sparkle to the card. And there it is. It's kind of a cool card. I like it a lot. And there I made 2 of them. Yay! What do you think? I don't know if I've seen anyone do that with the flowers yet, so that could be something new that people can do with that set, right? It's always good to show a new way to use something. So I hope you like that. I'm going to talk to you now. And first of all, a reminder, if you have no idea what Casing Tuesday is and you want to be part of our Facebook group and share your card with us or just lurk on our group, you can do so. The link is down below. Just click on the link and ask to join, and we'll get you hooked up on the site. All the supplies I used today are on my blog, and the link is down below in the description of the video. So all you need to do is click on it and it will take you to the blog. And down at the bottom I have a supply list that you can see everything that I used. Maybe I forgot to mention something when I was working. You know, sometimes I just forget. It slips my mind, and those supplies will all be there. And if for some reason they're not and you need to find out something, just send me an email or leave me a comment and I'll get back to you on that. I have a host code gift of the month. Here is my host code. This is July 2021. That's my host code, and if you spend at least $50 this month, you're going to get a sampler pack of designer series paper from me. And you can find more about that also by clicking over on the host code link down below. And then if you spend at least $15 with me, you can choose one of my free with purchase tutorials. And if you want, please also use the host code for that. That would be great. Okay, I'm going to go have a look at your comments and see who's here with me today. Good morning, Ellie and Janine. Oh, Janine, you have a soggy Indiana. Well, it's not that much better here, but I don't like that you're soggy because that means that we might be soggy soon. You tend to send all your weather out east to the East Coast, so that's not good. Good morning, Cindy. Oh, Cindy, you just saw your mom. Oh, that's great. It's so wonderful. I have a border to cross, so it's been a little bit difficult. So finally, I feel like in September, I should have like less restrictions. I'm fully vaccinated, and I'm not sure if they'll still have a testing requirement then, but we'll see what is all up. I'm not going to concern myself too much with it now because I think in the next 2 months a lot will change, so we'll see. Thank you, Janine. I'm glad you like my card. I'm glad you're going to use the stamp set, Bev. You know, this stamp set, I think this might be the first time I've used it on a video. So a really good thing to do if you have a stamp set in your collection that you don't use or you need samples for, please go to Pinterest and type in the names with the name of the stamp set and put Stampin' Up and then the name of the stamp set. And usually you will have a whole bunch of different samples with that stamp set. And it just really helps me a lot when I'm using something that maybe is a little bit out of my comfort zone. Because this is a nice stamp set, it's just a little bit different. You know, we don't have those flashy flowers. We don't have the flashy flowers, so guess what Brenda does? Brenda makes them into flowers, so that's what I like to do. And a lot of us have the medium daisy punch. And if you don't have the medium daisy punch or a daisy punch, it's a good one to have. A daisy punch is a good kind of general flower to have. You can get a lot of use out of it. So if you don't have it already, I definitely would say go get it, because it's not one that you're going to regret getting. Good morning, Dee. Good morning, Amy. Good morning. And I don't know who Creative Stamping Designs is, but good morning. And it doesn't matter if you're late, you can watch the replay. And sometimes I'm a little bit late too. This morning I was only a minute late, so that's pretty good. Oh, I'm so glad you guys are enjoying the little flowers. Yeah, Dee, it is kind of like Southwest desert-like. And did you know that where I'm from, it's very arid, actually. It's hot and dry in the summer. And so the mountains where I grew up are very dry. They've got like grasses. There's the pine trees are kind of spread further apart. They're not like a very dense forest. So there is a lot of, there is even cacti on the other side of the valley, like little ones, not big ones, but it's kind of surprising for Canada. And yes, it is a very hardy plant, and it is found, I looked it up on the map today, it's found all the way down kind of along the Rockies, but not on the Rockies, but kind of, because I didn't grow up in the Rockies. I grew up it would west of the Rockies, and then you can follow the plants all the way down, and they're a very hardy root, and you can actually eat most of the plant. You can eat the root, the flowers, the leaves, and the First Nations, the Native Americans used to use the flowers. So I could make I forget the name of the flower. It's got kind of an unusual name, but I could make a salad out of it if I was there in the spring. But that would be kind of cool, right? Like, there's so many plants that we don't utilize on this planet, and that would be kind of cool. Except I wouldn't want to eat up all the pretty flowers, but I guess the animals also enjoy eating the flower heads. So go figure. I read about them this morning, and they're actually, that flower is my my hometown. That's the flower of my hometown. So it's kind of cool, right? I didn't know about that, but I just remembered it being there in my childhood. All right, too much information, right? Thank you, Jean, for sharing my video. Ellie asked, do I have an art degree? No, I don't. I really, really don't. You know what? And this is the really cool thing for all of you who don't have art degrees out there and think that you're not artistic. I didn't think I was artistic. And I just find great joy in designing things. And so, you know what? I can't draw. I have never developed that talent, maybe I should say. I've never practiced it. So right now I can't draw, but stamps give me a medium to work with, the tools to work with to be creative. And no, I don't have an art degree, but that's the cool thing about stamping is you don't need an art degree. The longer you work at something, the better you get at it. And that's basically what happened to me. I find great joy in it, and so I just keep working at it and keep getting better at it, and that's the fun of this hobby. So you can, my sister actually is very talented. Like when she sits down and draws and paints, she doesn't get to do that very often right now, but she's got the talent in that regard, like the raw talent to do it just like that. But no art degree for me. I have a library science degree, so that's my degree. We didn't do too much creating in library science. All right. Yeah, Cindy, I sponged them after attaching them to the pods, not by design. I would have actually sponged them beforehand had I remembered to do that. So yes, sponge your flowers before you attach them. Far, far easier. I just forgot. When I looked down at the other card, I was like, oh shoot, I forgot to do that, right? Good morning, Mary. I'm Cindy. I'm so glad you like the design. Okay, Cindy asks, how'd you consider dipping edges of sentiment in a color? No, I did not. I kept it very clean and simple, but that could have been fun too. We used to do a lot of sponging. When I first started stamping, we would sponge the edges of everything. And I think because I did so much sponging back then, like I'm kind of reluctant to go whole hog and sponge everything. So I kind of am a little bit more reserved these days with my sponging, but it probably will come back like in style, and then I'll be like still really reluctant, but it's a good idea. It might have made it stand out a little bit too. Mary says she joins late. Yes, catch the replay. That would be great. Good morning, Geraldine. Mary says she wants the turtle punch. I think, is the turtle punch, I'm not even sure. The turtle punch might be unavailable right now. I'm going to check. Let me go in. I'm doing this behind the scenes. I'm just going to see if I can pull this up. I think right now it is, oh, it's back ordered. So you can still order it right now, but it is back ordered, and I would have to check. Let me see if it's easy for me to go in and see where the turtle punch. Let me see when it's back ordered until. Okay, it's a month. So, but you know what I would do? I would go ahead, if you love the turtle punch and you want to get it, I would go ahead and place that order for the turtle punch now, and then when it comes in, it will be sent to you. And if you place anything else on that order, then all of that stuff that's available right now will ship, and the turtle punch will ship separately afterwards. I love that Stampin' Up! Doesn't hold up our orders if one item on the order is back ordered. So go ahead and get it now, because sometimes what happens is that, you know, over the time that it becomes more popular even, and then by the time August rolls around, it's kind of on a secondary back order because all those back orders are filled, and then they've had to send another shipment of those punches. So it is, you know, as long as it's back ordered, like go ahead and order it. Get it now. Don't wait. Punches are one of those things, especially cute animal punches. Oh my gosh, they just always, they tend to like get back ordered, and yeah, don't want to get stuck with that. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you'll join me on Friday at 10 a.m. I'll be on my YouTube channel, and I'll be doing a live. I'm not sure what I'm doing on Friday yet. I still have to figure that out, but I'm sure it will be good. It will be a surprise even for me. And yeah, so then you can get my project sheet on Saturday if you're part of my email list. So check it out on my YouTube channel on Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Take care. Bye-bye.